Everything you've worked for is about to vanish. Not perhaps, not theoretically. You, the individual staring at this screen at this very moment, you're walking a road that ends in a moment where you'll be 62 years of age, tearing open a letter, and the figure written on that paper is going to cause your fingers to tremble, not with joy, with absolute dread. This is something I understand because I once stood exactly where you stand. 26 years back, I found myself at my kitchen counter staring at documentation that revealed I had $8,000 standing between myself and homelessness, and I believed my existence had reached its conclusion. I've reached 88 years of age. I'm called Edith. 18 years of my life went into running a school kitchen, nourishing the sons and daughters of strangers. Yet I neglected to nourish my own tomorrow, not even the smallest portion. The most painful aspect is that I believed I was doing just that. I believed somebody else had assumed that responsibility. I believed I had followed every correct procedure. I put my signature on the documents. I appeared at my workplace. I fulfilled my duties for close to 20 years. And when the moment arrived to receive what I had rightfully earned, nothing remained. Absolutely nothing. So before you navigate away from this, before you convince yourself this doesn't concern you because you possess a retirement account, because your employer provides matching funds, because you're more financially astute than some elderly woman who labored in a school kitchen, allow me to pose a question. Can you state with certainty what sits in that account at this precise moment? Not an approximation, the actual figure. Can you confirm whether you're vested? Can you define what vesting actually entails? Can you verify that nobody committed an error along the way? That a form wasn't left incomplete? That there isn't documentation bearing your identity that contains inaccuracies? Because I had no knowledge of these things, and nobody informed me I needed to verify, and look where I ended up. Yet here's the reality. I'm nevertheless alive. 2.5 decades down the line, residing in a home that belongs to me, with funds in my account, with my heating set to whatever temperature brings me comfort, consuming whatever food appeals to me. I survived, and my survival didn't follow the path the financial authorities recommend. I didn't make prudent investments during my 20s. I didn't maximize my retirement contributions. I didn't accomplish a single action those financial guides recommend, because I never opened those guides, and I couldn't comprehend them when others attempted to clarify the concepts. I survived the way a woman with only elementary schooling and overwhelming anxiety survives. And if you'll remain here beside me for several minutes, I'll share with you precisely the method. Not because my approach represents the optimal strategy. It doesn't. It represents the difficult strategy. It's the strategy you eventually pursue when you've already mishandled all the conventional strategies. But the approach functions, and certain individuals viewing this are going to require it. When I discovered I possessed nothing, I wept for 72 hours. This isn't an exaggeration. 72 hours I remained in my home weeping until my eyelids became so swollen they sealed shut. My husband Bernard had departed this world 14 years prior. My children had matured and faced their own difficulties. I remained at that kitchen counter where I'm positioned at this very moment, and I reflected on all those years of labor, all those pre-dawn mornings. 4:30 in the morning, I'd arrive at that educational facility to begin preparing the breakfast bread. 18 years, celebrations I missed observing, Saturday and Sunday shifts I covered. I surrendered to that educational institution my prime years, my physically capable years, and when I pursued what they were obligated to provide me, their response was, "We bear no obligation to you." An administrative mistake occurred. You were never properly registered. Those documents bearing your signature never reached their intended destination. Our apologies, our apologies. That phrase nearly destroyed me more completely than the financial loss. But on the 73rd hour, my tears ceased. Not because my emotional state improved, because my tear ducts emptied and hunger returned, and I recognized nobody would arrive to rescue me. My offspring lacked the means to rescue me. The educational institution refused to rectify the situation. The federal authorities weren't going to appear with financial assistance. Either I discovered a solution or I forfeited my residence and relocated to my daughter's lower level and consumed the remainder of my existence as someone dependent on others. And I determined I'd prefer death to dependency. So I acquired a notepad, one of those inexpensive varieties, wire-bound, valued at roughly $50 from the pharmacy. And I positioned myself and I documented 2 inventories. One inventory cataloged everything in my possession. The alternate inventory cataloged everything I absolutely required, not desired, required. The initial inventory was brief. $8,000 resided in my savings. Social Security benefits approaching that would deliver approximately $700 monthly. A residence with a monthly housing payment of $420. A vehicle with no remaining payments, though aged. My physical well-being largely intact. 2 functioning hands. The alternate inventory was more concise. I required shelter. I required sustenance. I required utilities and running water. I required my prescribed medicine, which during that period consisted solely of hypertension medication. All other considerations were optional. Subsequently, I calculated the mathematics. Even someone with my limitations could perform these calculations. 700 arriving, 420 departing exclusively for the housing payment. That remaining figure was $280 for all remaining expenses: sustenance, utilities, automotive fuel, telephone service, everything. The amount was insufficient, nowhere near adequate. So I documented a 3rd inventory, revenue-generating activities I could perform. Now understand, I had reached 62 years. My spine ached from 18 years of maneuvering commercial cookware. My lower extremities ached from standing on hard flooring. Nobody would employ me for much of any position, but I possessed culinary skills. Heavens, I possessed exceptional culinary skills. I had been preparing meals for 300 young students daily for nearly 2 decades. I understood how to create abundant food with minimal expenditure, and I understood how to make it flavorful. My beginning was modest. A woman from my congregation was approaching 70, and her daughter was attempting to organize a celebration. The daughter was overwhelmed. Employed full-time, 2 offspring, insufficient time for meal preparation. I volunteered to prepare the food. Nothing elaborate: potato salad, baked legumes, slow-cooked pork, filled egg halves, a rectangular cake. The daughter proposed compensation, and I declined. This represents a gift, but I secured her commitment to identify who prepared the food if inquiries arose. 11 individuals inquired. Within 30 days, I was preparing food for 2 additional celebrations. Within half a year, I was creating food for every congregational gathering, every workplace retirement celebration, every educational achievement reception within a 5-mile distance. I charged marginally below the supermarket delicatessen, and my food exceeded their quality tenfold. My reputation expanded. Individuals began contacting me. Could I handle a pre-wedding meal? Could I cater a prenatal celebration? Could I produce 200 breakfast breads for an extended family gathering? I need to be transparent about something. Wealth wasn't accumulating. I was generating perhaps $300, $400 additional dollars monthly initially. But those $300 represented the critical difference between survival and collapse. Those $300 meant I could satisfy my housing payment, maintain my utilities, fuel my vehicle, and consume something beyond rice and legumes nightly. Those $300 meant continued existence, and subsequently something occurred that I mentioned to everyone because it transformed everything. And this could occur for you as well if you maintain awareness. I received correspondence. I nearly discarded it. It resembled promotional material, some official appearing envelope from the state educator pension organization. I had never been an educator. I was kitchen personnel. I assumed it was an error, or one of those fraudulent letters attempting to extract money from elderly individuals. But intuition instructed me to open it. The correspondence indicated I was entitled to a pension, not a substantial pension. When I contacted the telephone number and finally reached an actual person, she informed me it amounted to approximately $200 monthly. But she additionally informed me I was owed retroactive payments for 36 months because they had been attempting to locate me and my mailing address was incorrect in their records. I need you to comprehend what transpired next because this matters significantly. I received a payment exceeding $7,000, funds I didn't know existed, funds I had earned and forgotten about. And when I questioned the woman on the telephone how this was conceivable, how I could possess a pension when I was informed I possessed nothing, she clarified that kitchen personnel in my jurisdiction were covered under a different program than I had understood. The administrative error with my retirement account bore no relation to this pension. They were entirely separate programs. Nobody had previously mentioned that. I didn't know to inquire. $7,000 doesn't seem substantial to certain individuals. To me, it was divine intervention. I satisfied 3 months of housing payments in advance. I deposited the remainder in savings, and presently I had an additional $200 arriving monthly, supplementing my Social Security. My revenue increased from $700 to $900, still not substantial but survivable, comfortable. I could rest at night. Here's what I need you to extract from this. There might be funds bearing your identity at this moment that you're unaware of. Previous employment positions, previous pension programs, previous accounts. State governments hold billions in unclaimed assets that belong to individuals who forgot about them or relocated or never knew they existed. I'm instructing you to investigate. Visit your state's unclaimed asset website. Search your identity. Search your parents' identities. Search the identities of anyone who has passed and designated you as beneficiary. You might discover $20. You might discover $7,000. But you won't discover it if you don't investigate. The years progressed. I continued cooking. I continued saving. Every single dollar that I didn't absolutely require was deposited into a savings account at my neighborhood bank. I didn't invest it. I understand people claim that's unwise, that funds sitting in savings lose purchasing power because of inflation, and perhaps they're correct. But I couldn't risk losing what minimal resources I possessed. I observed people in 2008 lose 50% of their retirement in the financial market collapse. 50% vanished instantaneously. I was 71 years of age when that occurred, and I expressed gratitude to God daily that my funds were sitting in a mundane savings account, earning almost nothing because almost nothing exceeded 50% of nothing. I want to share something else that people find uncomfortable hearing. I accepted assistance. I wasn't excessively proud to accept assistance. When I was 64 and still struggling, I visited the Senior Community Center and I inquired what programs existed for people in my situation. They enrolled me for a property assessment exemption that reduced my assessments nearly 50% because I was beyond 65 with restricted revenue. They connected me with a program that subsidized my medication. They informed me about senior reductions I didn't know existed, supermarkets, dining establishments, cinema venues, public transportation, all of it accumulated. There's no dishonor in this. You contributed taxes your entire existence. These programs exist because you already funded them, utilized them. By the time I reached 70, I had satisfied my house debt, not because I received a substantial windfall, because I took every extra dollar and I applied it toward that housing debt. I didn't take holidays. I didn't purchase new furnishings. I didn't upgrade my vehicle until my previous one literally refused to function anymore. I lived frugally so I could own something. And the day I submitted that final payment, I remained in this kitchen and I wept once more. But these were different tears. I'm 88 presently. I've been retired for 26 years. I didn't follow the recommended path. I didn't possess a retirement account. I didn't employ a financial consultant. I didn't comprehend compound interest or index funds or any of those concepts people discuss. I accomplished it meal by meal, dollar by dollar, one minor decision at a time. If you're youthful and viewing this, please don't replicate what I did. Please educate yourself about retirement presently. Please pose questions. Please verify your accounts and ensure everything is being directed where it's supposed to be directed. Don't assume someone else is managing it. Nobody has greater concern for your finances than you should. Nobody. But if you're older, if you're already behind, if you're viewing this with that nauseating sensation in your abdomen because you know your retirement account isn't where it should be, I want you to hear me. It's not concluded. You're not deceased yet. You possess abilities. You possess time. Perhaps not as much time as you wish you possessed, but you possess some, and some is sufficient if you utilize it. Begin documenting things. What do you possess? What do you require? What can you perform? Acquire an inexpensive notepad and create your inventory. Stop feeling ashamed about your current position and start determining where you can advance from here. Search for funds you might have forgotten about. Contact previous employers. Search unclaimed asset databases. You never know. Discover what assistance exists. Visit your neighborhood senior community center. Even if you don't feel sufficiently aged for a senior community center. Suppress your pride. These individuals possess knowledge you lack and they want to assist you. Eliminate everything you can eliminate. I understand it's difficult. I understand you feel like you've already eliminated everything. Eliminate more. There's always something. Subscriptions you forgot about. Insurance you're overpaying for, sustenance you're wasting. Locate it, correct it, and discover a method to generate even a minimal amount of revenue doing something you're skilled at. You're skilled at something. Everyone is skilled at something. Perhaps it's cooking like me. Perhaps it's repairing things. Perhaps it's supervising children or walking canines or organizing storage spaces or typing or sewing or transporting people to appointments. Whatever it is, someone will compensate you for it. Not substantially, but something. And something is the difference between sinking and staying afloat. I stayed afloat until I could swim. Subsequently, I swam until I reached land. And presently, I'm standing on stable ground, 88 years of age, informing you that you can accomplish this as well. My greatest regret is not educating myself about finances when I was youthful. My second greatest regret is all the years I consumed being terrified instead of taking action. Anxiety is costly. Every month I consumed weeping and worrying was a month I wasn't working on solutions. Don't commit that mistake. You're going to make errors. That's acceptable. I made errors plenty. I purchased a vehicle I shouldn't have purchased when I was 68 because I was exhausted from driving unreliable transportation, and I wanted something decent, foolish. Set me back nearly a year, but I recovered. You'll recover as well. The woman in that video I viewed, the one discussing her retirement, she stated something that remained with me. She stated, "You can't compare your retirement to somebody else's." That's accurate, but I would supplement something to it. You also can't compare your retirement to what you anticipated it would be. I anticipated I would retire with a pension and a satisfied house debt and adequate funds to travel and visit my grandchildren whenever I desired. That's not what I received. But what I received is adequate. Adequate is adequate. I'm going to be transparent with you. I don't know how much longer I possess. 88 is elderly. My mother survived to 94, but my father passed at 70. Every day feels like a blessing presently, in a manner it didn't when I was 62 and terrified. I have adequate sustenance. I have a heated residence. I have people who care for me. I even have a modest amount of funds set aside to leave my grandchildren when I depart. Not substantially, but something. And I accomplished it all starting from zero, with nothing but an inexpensive notepad, a willingness to labor, and the simple, obstinate refusal to surrender. You can accomplish this. I have faith in you. Now close this video and go locate that notepad.